So, you like playing board games?
Exacting.
Welcome to the YouTube channel Exacting Games. Today we explain tactical thoughts concerning the game Big Points. Every Big Points game is different because the order of the counters is random. This means that in comparison to, for example, chess, the opening is not so important. And because we don't know how much the counters are worth till the end of the game, we found it this time more difficult to come up with some tactics. A precondition before using tactics is to have an eye on your opponent. That means to take a look on how many and which counters your opponent has. Even when your opponent hides the counters and you haven't got a good memory, simply add the counters on the board to your own of one color, subtract 10, and the difference is the number of counters your opponent has. Another key to win the game is to evaluate in every move if the collected counter is worth more than the counters you give your opponent access to. For example, if I move the blue playing piece, the opponent is in the next move able to collect a white counter. But which of these will have more value isn't clear till the end. But this creates the excitement of the game. We found a few strategies for the game. That means long-term planning. For example, you can collect many counters of the same color and then try to put the same colored playing piece on the highest stair. For safety reasons, if the plan doesn't work, you can concentrate on two colors. There's also the possibility to collect multiple colors. This way you don't stand empty-handed at the end of the game and white counters are worth more. And now the tactics. If you want to collect a specific counter in a two-player game, there is sometimes the possibility to move in a way so that the opponent gives you access to it. In this example, I move the red piece and want to collect a special counter in the next move. If the opponent doesn't own a black counter, this move works. If he moves the blue playing piece, I can collect a white counter in the next move. If he moves the green piece, I can collect a black counter in the next move. So maybe the opponent decides to move the yellow piece. In this case, I can collect a black or a white counter. If he moves the purple piece, I can collect a white counter. And in case of the red playing piece, I can decide between a black and a white counter. Of course, I have to calculate that the opponent's move after my move doesn't give him an advantage. But this was only an example to show you how you can profit from Zugzwang. Another tactic could be to collect a black counter. If a player moves a piece in this situation, he or she can't earn many points because the colors yellow and red are going to be 1 or 0 points worth. In that case, it could be an advantage to move the red playing piece and collect a black counter. So maybe you think the opponent gets a white counter in the next move. But because of the black counter, player 1 could collect a white counter as well. In this example, you can't really say what the best move is, because we don't know which and how many counters every player has collected. But to collect a black counter instead of getting little points can also be a good way to get rid of Zugzwang. Another more obvious tactic could be that as soon as a playing piece is standing on a stair, especially the highest, to collect counters of the same color. Do you follow the strategy to collect many counters of the same color, or you want to get a playing piece to the front, respectively on the staircase? Then there are two possibilities to do that. For example, let's say you want to get the yellow playing piece to the front. Then you can, step by step, move the yellow playing piece from counter to counter to the front. The other variant would be to take another playing piece, for example the blue one, and collect the yellow counters. So the way to the staircase for the yellow playing piece gets shorter. And if you are able to put the yellow piece on the highest staircase, you earned many points. Another tactic for the endgame is that you try under the right circumstances that the opponent puts the last playing piece on the last stair, because for this move you don't get points. Let me explain it with an example. Let's say we have this situation on the table. The player has to move the red playing piece on the next red counter, and he will earn 0 points. But it is very important which counter he takes, because this influences also which player does the last move onto the stair. I move, the opponent moves. I move, the opponent, me, the opponent. So that this order stays the same. Instead of taking the counter in front of the playing piece, I take the one behind. Thus the opponent hasn't got a black counter, he has to make the last move on the stair and earns 0 points. Another tactical thought is to think twice when putting a playing piece onto the staircase. In the most cases it is an advantage to put a playing piece onto the highest stair, because you get a counter worth 4 points. But has the opponent a lot of yellow counters and threatens to move the yellow playing piece onto the staircase, you can move the green piece onto the staircase, even when you haven't collected many green counters. That way the yellow counters are worth less points. That were our tactical thoughts concerning the game Big Points. Thank you very much.
Exacting.